Okay, Tom, can you tell us when you came to Chalk River and what the journey was that brought you here? Were you originally from BC?
I was originally from Vancouver, BC, and I came when I graduated from UBC with a master's degree in
Was there a
1955.
Was there a recruiting campaign at that time, or how
Yeah.
did you hear about it?
There were people who came to visit us at UBC and interview people and offer them positions if they wanted it.
Uh-huh. I did a little search through the publications list from ACL, and the first paper I came across was two fairly outstanding people into their fields. Was you with Carl Westcott and Bill Walker?
Bill Walker, yes.
Yes. So that was looking at cross sections and cadmium ratios. So early on, your work was really looking at nuclear physics.
That's right.
But the next few years, it looked like you really got into electronics.
That's correct too, because they needed new equipment for doing other experiments, and so I got the job of working. Fortunately, got the job working with Fred Golding, who was developing transistor circuits for the very first time. It was very early work, so I was fortunate to get that job.
Right. Well, and I see work on scalars and kick sorters, and
That's right.
that must have been a really exciting time, because until then people were having to do single channels and then move the channel, and
That's right. I mean, it was really really good improvements in what we could do with transistors, but things changed very rapidly as well. So what you designed one day would be overcome by somebody else the next day, almost.
yes,
There was a really explosive series of inventions
that's right.
for doing research.
The 100-channel kick sorter was a huge thing, and then 3 years later, I remember doing some nuclear physics where all of a sudden nuclear data had this 4,000-channel two-dimensional
That's right. That's the sort of
channel
thing.
analyzer. Yes, yes. Okay. Bill Howell was another of your co-workers at that time. I got. Were you actually part of the electronics group or branch at that time?
No, I was still in the reactor physics group. I was assigned to develop something for them but gradually I migrated into the electronics group.
Okay. 1962, you decided to hit off and leave Chalk River for Alberta.
Yeah, that's right. I decided I should go back and get a higher degree. So I went back and got my PhD in Alberta.
And what did you do for your thesis there?
I measured lifetimes of nuclear states for one thing. I don't know whether I can remember them at this time. But I certainly had I was able to get equipment that I designed at Chalk River. If I wanted it out in Alberta, they were quite happy to send it to me. So I had very good equipment that I knew how to operate very well. So it made it very easy for me.
Oh, very good. So that was really more of the beginning of tilting in towards nuclear physics than electronics.
That's right, yeah.
When you came back, you started, one of the papers that I saw was working on oxygen-17 with another famous Chalk River, Ted Litherland.
Ted Litherland, he was the reason I came.
Uh-huh. And by then the Ian tandem was installed here, and
yeah, it was operating when I came back as a nuclear physicist. Yeah.
who else was around at that time in the nuclear physics group?
Harry Gove was there for a very short time, but left very shortly
And
after.
he went to Rochester.
He went to Rochester. There's John Ferguson.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
John has been around.
John was there, and
Was Bromley there, or had Bromley gone by
Bromley
then
had
as well?
already left.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. The next really exciting thing that I guess came along was all of a sudden George Ewan and Tavendale began producing these fantastic new counters, the lithium drifted germanium.
Yes, right.
That made a big difference in the experiments and
Oh,
everything
yeah,
else.
that was a big step forward in doing experiments.
Rather than looking at gamma peaks that were huge broad things, you were seeing all of a sudden there's 4 or 5 gamma rays there.
Yeah, that's right. And a much higher resolution.
And most of those counters were actually built in Chalk River here, the Ewan and Tavendale and Dick Fowler's
Yeah,
group.
that's right. They were building these detectors for us, yeah. Which was amazing, really, when you think about it.
It was such a revolution in people who were doing counting onto nuclei. All the nuclei got redone again, and even I guess some of the neutron capture work, where now you were finding thousands of gamma rays, and
Yeah, the resolution improvement made a huge difference in what people were seeing. No question about it.
some of the next period I saw work on Coulomb excitation, but I guess that started to come along when the MP tandem was finally
Yes,
now installed. And John Keener was another person.
John Keener was he left to go to the university. What was it, in Hamilton?
He went to McMaster, that's right.
McMaster. Yeah. He left. That was my problem when I got there. Then there was exodus of all the people I had wanted to work with. They all left for the universities.
That's right, there was a huge expansion in all of the universities
That's right.
up until almost about 1970, I think. And that's around when I started looking for a job, and there weren't any at the universities either. And by then, the MP was available and installed in Chalk River, a huge improvement on the energy range.
Right.
Was that really what sort of triggered off a lot of the work on Coulomb excitation? Was the higher energy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was a much better range of bombarding energies that you could have. It made quite a difference.
1970 started for you with another someone who came here rather than going. That was around the time when I found a paper of you with Art McDonald.
Art McDonald, yeah, he came in from to work with my group. Yeah.
As a PDF at that time, just.
Mhm.
But I see work that continued with Art for the next quite a number of years,
Quite a
15
number of
years or
years,
so, maybe
yeah.
20 papers combined authorship with
Yeah.
it. So
Mhm.
you've had a few fairly distinguished co-authors on much of your work into the past there.
Yeah, I'm a very lucky person.
Along that time also, you seem to shift from the lower mass region. The early work seemed to be with masses sort of below 30. You were looking up more into the lead and trans-lead region.
Yeah, I didn't do very much work in that region, but I did some. Yeah.
In 1977, I see a publication that you are on with Art McDonald that says the low solar neutrino flux.
Yeah.
Was that the beginning of Art's interest in neutrinos for the rest of his life?
Well, I don't know whether it was or not. It could be very well. Yeah.
Later on, by about 1981, you were working into the rare earth region now. So you'd been at the bottom, you went up to the top, and back down. There was a lot of work being done in the rare earths around then. Was that just a natural move to, or just because the interests were changing
Yeah,
in
and
the field?
I think it was just the interest for changing, yes.
You have had a very wide-ranging type of work. You started out in reactor physics, you then moved on to electronics, into nuclear physics. I see some work starting also with John Davies, or into that group anyway, with Willie Leonard, and penetration of atoms, fairly low energy, into metals and things.
Oh
surface.
yeah, well they were preparing targets for my experiments, so they were implanting atoms into metals, and then that would be the target I would bombard with a heavy ion, and these turned out to be a very useful way of generating a target that you wanted.
Uh-huh.
So to make full use of it, one had to understand how the densities changed and so on. So we also got feedback and sharing what the density changes are in the metals, because
So-
I could tell that from doing nuclear physics experiments with them.
So these were relatively thick targets, as opposed to many of the accelerator targets, which are a few microns.
No, these were used on the accelerator. Yeah, so they were not thick in any sense of the word.
You got back into sort of equipment improvements and odds and ends for working then on the next generation of accelerator, which was the Buncher, for getting on with the superconducting cyclotron
All right,
too.
yes, right.
You worked there with Bill Diamond, and
Bill Diamond was there, yes.
then you really got into the using the task facility as well. Beams were available in a wide range, and
Yeah, and then I was still doing similar type of work as I'd done before, but now had a broader range of energies for the beam.
and you continued work in the nuclear physics branch until retirement in
Yeah, when was it?
1991 was a note that I had
Yeah,
here.
1991, that sounds about right.
Okay. However, when I took a look, there are papers with Tom Alexander's name on going as far as 1997, so you must have had a
Well,
big accumulation of data.
Well, our tandem was closed down, so that ended, and I was about ready to retire. But some of my friends, like Gordon Ball, who had worked with me a lot at Chalk River, and he went out to UBC and became the head of Triumph there, which is a very large accelerator. And so after I retired, he invited me out there to do some experiments with him with the Triumph accelerator, along with Jim Forster.
Jim go out there as well, okay.
Yeah, he went as well.
Yeah. A very successful career, I would say. I thought just from the AECL publications that I went through was 124 publications over 42 years. That's a very successful career, I would say, and a very, very varied career. So one of the things that we have to remember with the Alexander name is the paintings that are hanging in around town in many places, your watercolor paintings. And that, when did you begin watercolor painting?
Well, just a year or two before I retired from doing nuclear physics, because my oldest brother was a very good artist. He lived in Vancouver, and he was much older than I was. But he he I got very interested in art. That's what I thought I would be when I was younger, until I discovered nuclear physics. And then I decided that that was even
Well,
better.
you had the art of transistors, though, then.
That's right. Yeah, it was something I liked to do, was art. So,
And there was a fairly active group. There was a group of, sort of a Deep River group of 7 people that...
yeah, that's right. There was Warren Thurston and Eileen Thurston. 2 names I can remember.
Sheila
quickly.
Fletcher maybe was...
Sheila Fletcher and Barbara Blackstein.
That's right. Laura Hills,
Laura
that's right,
Hills,
yes.
right, yeah.
And I think, to my knowledge, you're the last one left in Deep River.
So yeah, I think that's correct. Some of them moved out west. And
That's right.
Some
Some
of
moved to
them-
Cobden, and
That was a very interesting time. I really enjoyed doing the art, and having the group. You could get criticism. You see that
yes, feedback and
feedback to see.
yes.
You had to argue why you did things that way. So
Yes.
that was useful.
I thank you very much for sharing it with us and letting us know some of the things that happened. And I wish all the new graduates who get into this type of work have as successful and also be able to work with as illustrated an illustrious group as you did.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.